Oh, probably because I didn't have myself on there. Oh my God. Okay. I'm not used to 2 meeting things at one time. I should not have just tried this now. So thank you. Thank you for joining us, CJ. Again, Eric is out of Green Bay. He is a part of that outfit. He's constantly sending me, different events for veterans. There's one coming up in Door County, December, early on in December. And I'm like, hey, what can the cannabis community do to be involved in that? Because I guarantee you, a lot of us want to support that and show them that we are, standing up for their cannabis rights. So great folks there. I thought we should have them here. So, sound's working. I'm so sorry, guys. You missed my passion. Hoorah. Real quick, these folks wouldn't be here if they didn't care about cannabis in their communities. They've been doing it since 2018 with a CBD, and they've been trying to figure out with no guidance, but they care about their communities first. And those are the folks we need to work with in trying to figure out what our access looks like and protect it when it comes to cannabis. So sound on now. Thank you. All right, cool. Sorry about that, guys. So when we talk about kind of the direction of, do we have, real quick, here we go. Marcus, are you in here?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So Marcus, real quick, he joined last week's meeting. But again, when we're talking about, having voices at the table, when it comes to anything Native American pride, heritage, just an overall community leader, Marcus is tied into so many different things. I had his LinkedIn in. I don't know how to share the page while I'm streaming, but like, we're just talking. He doesn't live in a fancy house, folks. He doesn't have a fancy car. He rents a vehicle so don't break down when he is driving somewhere. Like, he is the man that is just making all the connections and caring for communities, and just so tied into everything Native American heritage. It is touching. His mom gave me a thing back in middle school, and it was this little, it was a beaver foot in clay, and she explained the story of what that represents and being one with the earth and stuff. Like, these are assets that are not, we don't understand. We don't have time to understand the Native communities, but they are a huge part of this. So Marcus, thank you for joining. If you wanted to touch anything real quick, I appreciate you.
Thanks, Bobby. I appreciate that. I think, as someone that's kind of been in the hemp game for a long time, for many that who don't know, my tribe, Menominee, grew hemp in 2015 and were raided by the feds. And so I was one of the hemp farmers growing that CBD crop in 2015. So you could say I was one of the first hemp farmers in Wisconsin after Prohibition. It's been a fun ride. And I have to say that I've just been really passionate about hemp and doing whatever I can to help get hemp to be kind of a big staple in our, I guess, national economy. So I do a lot of work on policy on the national level. And then personally, I just do a lot of seed breeding and genetics. So that's kind of where I come in terms of my role in the hemp world right now. So I'm a seed breeder and a geneticist for my tribe. So thank you all. I appreciate you all being on the call today. Look forward to the discussion and seeing what we can create together as a coalition or an alliance. And I think one thing to end is just really the man who gave me the hemp nonprofit, John Trudell, he talked about a native, non-native alliance. And I see this alliance in particular fulfilling that dream that he had. So just to kind of put in the context, if you guys don't know who John Trudell is, get a chance to check him out. Last name spelled Trudell, John Trudell. YouTube videos, all the different things about him. So yeah, I just want to say that bit. So thanks so much, guys.
Appreciate you, Mark. And I just want to share a real quick photo with you guys because I can't find the exact date. It is roughly within a few days, exactly a year ago, that I hadn't talked to Marcus in a long time. We split up from high school, or you graduate high school, and then this guy goes out to DC. And I followed him, and I'm like, what a boring life, because all he is in suits and ties, and we got this policy through, and I'm like, man, that just sounds crazy. Like, what is this guy doing with his life? Like, I know he's smart, so I'm like, well, it makes sense. Mark is smart, Bob don't get it. So it was like, holy shit. And then we get together, we just have lunch because I'm in the hemp industry in Wisconsin and he's a hemp advocate. I was like, dude, we should have lunch. We should catch up. And we do. And this man shares what he's doing, his passion, his job. And he's not talking about hitting sales numbers. He's not talking about, I got 4 LLCs and I got 16 new vehicles. Like, I get that, right? I respect that. That's that you deserve it if you did that. But I'm talking, this guy is bragging, just not even bragging. He is humble. He is talking about, yeah, Beans is really kind of crazy. I grow, I help educate, I work with this and that. And I'm like, holy shit. So you can just be passionate about something. You don't have to sell something. I've always kind of been a salesman. They try to find a way to use the hype, try to use a way to get the information to the people so they understand it. And it wasn't until he sat me down and he just explained what he did. He didn't pitch nothing. He didn't say, Beans, I think you should do this. And I think we both agree at that time, if he would have said that, we both would have laughed. But he just opened my eyes. And then like a couple weeks later, he's like, Beans, let's meet up. And I'm like, cool. And he's like, it's got to be a public place, whatever. So we meet in this public place. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Are we being watched? Like, what the fuck is happening? Long story short, he just wanted to be super disconnected, not worrying about this, that, the other. We just had a legit one-on-one chat. And he just was like, just realize you're in control of your destiny. He's like, nobody thought when I went to go start talking about hemp or learn about hemp, nobody thought I was, what are you going to do? Right. He shows me this pen. Now, this guy did a lot of crazy stuff in the state. I'm not promoting this guy at all. I'm not saying he's a terrible guy. I don't do that with politics, as you all know. This is a pen that says Scott Walker, from the office of Scott Walker. So Marcus brings that to the meeting, and he shares with me that this is the pen that he got from when Scott Walker signed the bill for hemp in Wisconsin. And granted, there were like 50 of them, he said. So it's one of 50 pens, but still, Marcus was there. He works himself into the picture because he had busted ass, but he was like kind of the intern or whatever. So when I felt that pen, dude, it changed me. I was like, Marcus did what I'm now thinking I might be able to do, so it can be fucking done. No way. Again, I don't know where this thing ends up, but this started from scratching down on paper a logo like that. And now this is just crazy to me that we're here. Please use this. Please work with us. Please work together when we discuss these next things and put, again, the image of us controlling our destiny at the front of this. Because I know this sounds bizarre, but when I met with Marcus, I was like, holy shit, maybe I could change. What's in my head is not just Wisconsin. It's every state is jacked up because now you got hemp versus what they're calling marijuana, because money and politics are starting to show which side they're on and how that all is working. And everything is turning so ugly. And it's just, there's got to be a focus on community. And that's what we have here. And we have an opportunity to put in place. I would love to see if we come together with these voices at the table, with these pieces together. I'm no longer afraid to talk to us. I don't know about you guys. If we've got communities involved, if we've got the people involved, if we've got transparency, and then if we've got the people who've been putting their shit on the line all together, bring it on. I'm ready now. That's all I need. You guys give me that. And I don't want to be the president of this. Let's get that straight. Again, I'm not the organization guy, but we all know that. I'm not the guy that should be in charge at all. Well, I want to have a say, but don't have me setting appointments and reminders and making sure contracts and bills are paid. So that's why we're all here. Please keep that at the forefront, and the understanding that is the mission here is not to see how much we can boost our sales in the next 6 months, which I know all of you know, but I'm just sharing with the people in here too, that this is, we've been risking it. We need to start having an alliance because it's going to get crazy with politics, outside influence, that kind of thing. Big money coming around. With the moment big money comes to Voss's desk, he is going to be all for legalization. It's happened in every other state. Okay. So, and again, he doesn't have to explain why. It's just now I'm for it. Okay. Well, great, Voss. What does your plan look like? Because here's what the people of Wisconsin have worked with this safety alliance and the communities to create, while you guys have sat back and just let everything be sold at gas stations, bars. There is no education out there. That's what we came together for. How are we not a part of the way forward here in Wisconsin? Maybe he can find a way, and I'm sure he would, but I will go stand there until he talks to me, which he hasn't done yet, until we get that on video, because we have to come together. We have to, somebody hit a button. Sorry, that distracts me. What happened? I heard a button. get this off the screen. Craig, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that collectively, if we all sit back and just, I don't know how many employees each and every one of us have, but more or less, we've all created jobs in this industry if we're making any sort of sale and any sort of packaging effort. Like we've got printing companies, we got the postal service, we got UPS, we got design, independent designers, we got web gurus, we got people that service our web pages. I mean, the list of jobs that we've already created is a mile long. And if they want to start taking things away from us, I hope that we'll all stand up and work together and fight, because I probably support 30, 40, 50 families already as a company already. And they come first to me. Making payroll every 2 weeks is a big thing. And I'm super proud of it. If I got anything to come out of this, I'll always be a gardener growing tomatoes at the end of the day, but I will fight to keep these jobs for everybody. And for me, that's the most important thing right now on the table, is sustaining what we've done.
Agree with that. Real quick, just making sure nobody's waiting to come in. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate you bringing that up. I think everyone is in now. Apologize if you're out there and you didn't get in right away. In talking about some new faces, do we have Jay? Are you here? Was Jay able to make it? He was going to try to make it, but as you can imagine, Jay has a few things going on as well. I want to touch on the importance of somebody like Jay real quick, because this is kind of turned into talking about when we're looking at leadership and stuff. So let's get that pulled up. Oh, Junk Hunt. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. Or that's not Junk. That's his name on here. That is, show me your face. Luke. Luke there? Okay. Luke might not be able to hop on the screen just yet. Let's get into the notes to try and get this thing on structure. I feel like there might be somebody else in here I get a chance to talk to. Oh, Lucy, if you wanted to just kind of introduce yourself real quick, and you had some awesome, again, I think input at this opportunity.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Lucy, they, she. I am the owner of Honey of the Heart Coaching, so I'm a registered nurse by trade. I've been a registered nurse for 11 years, and I support the overachievers, people pleasers, and busy bees of the world. It's been really cool. I actually do not own or sell CBD or cannabis. I am truly a nurse that is into this field. In 2022, I ended up going to Boulder, Colorado, and getting my mindfulness-based psychedelic training completed. And since then, I have been traveling to Oregon, to, like I said, Colorado, even to in like different parts of Canada, and supporting people in psychedelic retreats, using cannabis, using ketamine and other psychedelics that are legal. So I'm really excited to be a part of this alliance here. And as we go through the outline, I did add some things that, again, from a registered nurse hat perspective, wanted to include. So awesome. I'm very excited to be here. Again, it was really cool to be a part of some really great things outside of our state and outside of our country. But I'm really excited to bring some of this knowledge and wisdom into our state. So very honored to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. And again, I think that is a key part that has been misguided in a lot of states that have put together an alliance or a coalition or something, is, you pick on and trust me, the cannabis educated nurses are awesome. I am not knocking them at all. But when you go to tie them into a coalition or something, you just got to have some concern. Are they tied to this company's products? Are they tied to that company's products? And that's just unfortunate, but that's the way of the world. And I think having a fresh start of this alliance with a nurse who is non-biased to a specific product. And again, it's not that I don't trust any of you guys. I completely respect what you all are doing. We all do. But we don't want to end up like the politicians. We want to focus on what we say we have in common, which is a united front, and make that in education being the key. If we can protect the consumers, we definitely have a leg to stand on when it comes to what cannabis looks like currently and what it looks like in the future here in Wisconsin. We've got over real quick the main voices at the table, other than the businesses, unless I missed anybody. I think we got most of y'all in here. we've got a brainstorm when it comes to discussions of the key objectives of the movement. Basically, want to see if we have any kind of similar ideas on here. This is kind of what we had written down. Share this with the folks that are watching. So let's brainstorm a little bit here when it comes to what should the Alliance's key objectives be. A couple things that had been written down. Social. Oh, real quick. I'm so sorry. God darn it, guys. Shout out to Minnesota. Minnesota, are you in the house? Minnesota? Anybody in Minnesota?
Listening quietly, you're doing a great job.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we got Curtis too. We got some awesome folks who are simply here. So there was a couple people that are like, "Well, we don't need Minnesota. Come take over." Trust me, I vetted these people just like I vetted each and every one of you, and I didn't. Nobody paid nobody nothing. They haven't asked for anything. They legit were at HempFest on a panel, and they're like, "It's just you in your basement, Bean?" What? Yeah, it's just me in my basement. Okay, we can start helping you whenever you need help because we know what you're going through. And if it's just you in your basement, let us help you a little bit. Let us get you brochures we use to legalize Minnesota. It will give you the artwork, and you just remove Minnesota and change it to Wisconsin because it's sharing education, right? So these folks are here as a soundboard. They're not here to try to take over the Wisconsin market. I can guarantee you that. They have enough headaches in Minnesota if you haven't been paying attention to any kind of news. So yes, thank you guys for being here so much. Much respect, and let's use them as a soundboard. They were a lot of these folks from Minnesota Normal. A lot of that involved into this alliance and then that alliance, and then you get the umbrella, right? So very similar situation to what we're trying to do here. And these guys are here because none of us has done this before. So I think having somebody that's at least gotten that far is just invaluable. I don't think we could have paid to have better people here. So thank you for being here.
I'm at you.
You what? Oh, you're hooked up. What's up, Luke? What'd you say, buddy?
Oh, I wasn't even talking to you. I was talking to Meg. I didn't realize I was hot.
Oh, you're good. We want to hear your voice. We want to see your hair too. What's going on? Where's the beard?
Oh, I got my beard going. I got the long hair. So
he should be our mascot, bro, for Wisconsin Cannabis. Just like
I can't. I'm already my own mask.
Well, there you go. Right on. So again, thank you real quick to Minnesota. Sorry I missed you guys in the initial introductions. So I think when we're looking at the key objectives, a couple things that have been shared back and forth here. Oh, what do we got?
It's Phil.
Yo, Philly.
Hey, Wisconsin hemp farmers and manufacturers here. I pitched this idea. I've been working with our farmers around the state, about 200 up and down, and they're on board with this alliance, kind of forward and giving them an easy avenue to start making more money for their families. So they just want to make sure that it stays Wisconsin-based, that we have people out of state on the call, that please don't use this information that you're getting access to against us in the future. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
Respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis, you're a lawyer. Can you write that down and have everybody sign it real quick?
I'm actually not a lawyer.
Oh, well, you just deal with law, so you know what it looks like. Come on. I heard a hand go up. Somebody, I don't know where hands are. There's too many pop-ups over here. I'm sorry. Does anybody have anything real quick? Sorry. I'm sure we all got a lot, but in talking about what this looks like, we've got the social and economic equity. I think that's another huge piece that is not being addressed fairly or equitably in most legal states. We understand minority communities have been, impacted by this a lot, typically a lot more, especially when it comes to like jail and that kind of stuff, which is super unfortunate. And unfortunately, though, when people come up with these boards, alliances, that kind of thing, I feel like right from the get-go, you should have that voice present. We don't know what works best for them as far as how we can get back to that community. It's great that we can offer them to open up shops. That's what most states do. But again, as all these business owners in here know, it's not like, yippee, I'm opening a business and this is going to be fun and not stressful. Like, especially a cannabis business. Talk about red tape. Are you kidding me? I mean, again, it's a great step in the right direction. But what if the whole community of Milwaukee, nobody wants to open one? Then we missed the mark completely. So, Marcus, let's get it. Marcus is coming to us.
What's going on, y'all? I'm about to say, definitely need to make sure that every voice, as far as those
Oh, you're breaking up.
And I'm about to say I'm in Menards too, so hopefully I'm not breaking up too bad.
You're
Can
good.
Hear me?
Now we can. Yep. Don't move.
Okay, now I won't move. But yeah, so you have those issues because I know like in certain areas in La Crosse and in Milwaukee, you know, with the lack of education, a lot of us don't understand what that really looks like and not trustworthy. So, you know, let's just be honest, like one of the main competitors for the legal market is the black market. And we all know that. We know a couple of you know, non-melanated people that are in that market, but the majority of them are melanated because they either don't have that supply with the licensing and all that good stuff. So you run into those issues, and especially with pioneering people who have those records, and they're like, okay, we're trying to get a foot at the table, but you can't because you get red tape. So then it's like we get in these type of situations where it's like, okay, you have the political people that you got to beat, but then you also have the groups where it's like, you know, they're not really trying to hear my voice or that whole thing, but you want my money. So, like, how do you bridge that gap to have that voice at the table and then actually listen to it at the table?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Again, I don't think any other state has done that right, and that's they might. Again, some of them you hope these people in politics and all that, right? We hope they are legit and doing it for the right reason. But we've also seen from some of the stuff that gets passed and how long it takes to free a plant that politics aren't always common sense. Politics are often influenced by big money. So I'm guessing all of you got a lot of flyers in the mail, and again, trying to buy your vote. Why do you have to buy my vote if you're super legit and looking out for the people? You ain't got to buy shit. God, politics drive me nuts. Sorry. Okay, we are calming down. But again, this should all be common sense. We here at the table know that these are things that should be at play. So I think having somebody like Marcus, the voice of the people at the table. Thank you for being here, guys. So when we talk about social and economic equity, is that something that we feel should be a key objective? Shit, I was supposed to have a silent poll up real quick. If we want to start discussing the next thing, which we've got on here, which is public education and cannabis safety. Who wants to kind of start touching on that one?
I'll say something.
Oh, do you have fans going on behind you, Dennis? Dennis?
Yes, sir, if you don't mind.
Wait, can you turn the fan off? You got a fan behind you?
How about this? But I'm just going to get out of this area.
You're good.
We can educate everybody as much as we want, and we can pass as many laws as much as we want. But if you look at states like California, where most products, I mean, they just had a statewide test, and there was an average of 200 farms per vape tank, right? The vape tanks came up dirty all over the place, right? In the end of the day, the safety really comes down to us farmers and the people that are producing the product. And as of right now, we're not producing it ourselves, so it really falls on the people that are importing it and not testing it and still selling it. So you can educate, I mean, because really the consumer doesn't care about what product you have. It doesn't care about your rate of return or investment. All it cares about is a quality product at a fair price. And really, they don't even ask if it's clean or dirty. They expect you to do that as a businessman.
That sounds fair to me.
Absolutely. I wanted to speak on that too. So if you're not through dispensary, then that's where the problem comes in at, because you're not manufacturing. So when you're dealing with a private label or a white label, that's where the problem comes in. And so it's dealing with the manufacturer, you know. But if you begin to manufacture your own product, then you know the specs. And so you able to teach them about the quality, about the specs, about what's the additives in there, because you have so many of these people that they have their own particular way to put their additives in. And a lot of these things are not approved by the FDA. So because of that, then this place right here where we're at right now, this is what we need. We need a safety cannabis commission to be able to talk to people that's actually manufacturing.
Completely agree with that. We got a lot of, Pete, I think you had your hand up next, according to this. Oh, Pete, you there? Did I hit Pete's button on accident? Thought I was just unmuting him, but maybe I booted him.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. What's up, Pete?
What's up, everybody? Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on what Dennis said with what's going on out in California with all their, dirty vapes with all the pymetrozine in it and that kind of thing. I think there needs to be some definite, like testing where, you're doing like a category 3 or category 4 testing where you're testing over 300, potential harmful chemicals that are coming in some of these, vape products and, being put on flour, that kind of stuff. So that to me as a retailer, like I want to make sure that products are clean. And, the only way to do that is by doing, testing for the maximum amount of, pesticides, solvent residuals, that kind of thing.
Right. Well, and like Justin pointed out, potency warnings on THCP, genius. That should 100% be the thing. When we're talking about community members, when we were first testing those, a place I was working, they didn't even have a clue how potent they were because I was high for over 48 hours from a quarter of a gummy. Like THCP to a lightweight should have a warning on it. Like those are things that, again, if all of us had the time to think about, that makes sense. Now, at least for me, in my opinion, knowing how potent THCP is, that should have a little extra warning on it. And we would have thought of that if we had the time to think about it, I feel like, or if there was this alliance that's like, hang on a second, we understand THCP, if this is the agreement, that it has a place. We understand that manufacturers, producers, and distributors, we just need to make sure that the people of Wisconsin know when you see that THCP, it's a little more than just THC. So again, this alliance can be beautiful. We can get the good product. We can, and consumers need to understand. And I've started to point that out over the last couple of days. I wanted to show you guys in here that I do have your back. I've had a hard time plugging you guys because I don't know exactly how some of you guys, most people do things. And that's not, I'm not expecting you to show me. But for me to say I trust where I'm sending people to consume something, to ingest something, I got to know that I can sleep at night saying, I know for sure I was there from the packaging to the shelf, that it is what they say it is. And it's not the cheapest route. We know that. But if these people can get quality product and we can explain to them, you are supporting legal cannabis here in Wisconsin, we can make that work. And a lot of you have figured that out. And I've taken the leap over the last few days, and that's why I was okay working with Michigan for a hot minute, just sponsoring the podcast, not the movement. I told them, you're not influencing this thing. You can be a sponsor of the podcast. That makes sense. Because at least there's safety measures in place where if I send somebody to Michigan, they enjoy a product and something's bunk about it, my ass is covered because I take that shit to heart. I'm worried. Like if they go to some place and it ain't what they say it is, I'm not comfortable just saying, oh, no big deal. It was just one guy. Let's not worry about it. No, I'm trying to protect and be as fair as possible. And we need to have some measures in place. Wow, there's another rant. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm not trying to rant. Products should not look like Skittles or Nerds packages, 100%. I think that comes into the cannabis safety side. I've seen a lot of places get away from the cartoon characters and more towards like almost kind of like the boring, but it's like the craft. It's not a bad thing to be boring at all in packaging. But to get to the craft, to get to the easy, imagine as a consumer, if you could go, I would think a lot of consumers would go to multiple places and support multiple places, but you just find a place that when you go there, this pre-roll on their system is going to knock me out. This pre-roll in their packaging is going to be a mild high. This pre-roll in their packaging is going to do this. But then you go to a different place and the packaging is different and the sales pitch is different and the education is different. The percentages are different, right? It is a lot of stuff out there. And I think that comes into the safety part as well. A lot of it has to do with working with the people. Go ahead. Somebody said something. Green Thumb, you're up next, I think. You got to unmute it. Sorry, I didn't know if you saw that.
Hey there, guys.
Hey.
This is Derek with Green Thumb Alternatives. I own 2 dispensaries at this point. And probably one thing that relates to like the safety is just having products have what they say they have. Because at the moment and in the past, A lot of labels say like they got 1,000 milligrams of whatever cannabinoid. And then people try it, like say they go to a gas station or your average smoke shop and they try it. And it's like, oh, I tried that. It hasn't helped me. It didn't work. And I mean, we see that right now with, say, THCA products where they try something and it's supposed to be good. However, it's not. And there are laws already in place for this. However, it's still going around, I guess, because there's products that say they have whatever product that they have in it, but it doesn't have the same effect, which goes to the quality and what's actually in the product. And I would say with a lot of manufacturers these days, they're banking on the keywords of, hey, there's THCA in this product, or there's THCP in this product, or THCO, or Delta 8, or whatever have you. But that may not be the main cannabinoid in that product. It may have a hair of that cannabinoid, but it's not the full effect that people are getting. Say it's more CBD or more of a different cannabinoid, that they're not getting the effect. It's just kind of like a marketing strategy,
and
where they're trying to dump off their old Delta 8 and that kind of stuff. If that's like left over, would be my guess. But yeah, I agree with him.
We saw a couple of comments backing up Green Thumb, bringing up a good point. These people doing the packaging, they don't have any guidance. And again, you're working on a million different products. So not to say like giving anybody an excuse, but again, where this alliance can help is you guys don't worry about that. Let the board worry about talking with Lucy too, just to make sure, like, do we need to put on here? Can we somehow put on here? This is not medical advice, but this might make you sleepy. Is that something that we should do to cover our butt? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So let us focus on all these tedious little things, this group, and you guys do what you're good at. We all bring something to this table. Did somebody have anything else on that? I'm highlighting kind of the ones that we're feeling we're going to stick with the key objectives. So I just want to see anyone else have anything to add to that?
2018, something we did to kind of push the industry to be a little cleaner is we worked with local news stations and we actually got them to fund going out and cold buying 1,000 products, different type of products around our industry. And then we worked with a local lab to give us a discounted rate on doing all of those testing. And then they actually did a huge article in the State Journal about the products. I don't know if that's something we should maybe do again, or maybe that's something we need to do as a group to start identifying the 4 or 5 good labs in our state, which we already know who they are, and asking them to work with us and this new alliance to help set that standard in the state and bring you products that can be tested and let us know if it's dirty or clean.
And we can point out, you bring up a good point. We can point out it's not, we can all attest to if a COA comes back and it doesn't look good, we don't know that the COA you got is good. You can have them retested again. They might come out with completely different numbers from the same exact sample. So it's not to call out any specific business or anything like that. But what we can, yeah.
That goes into that false positive, like every lab has that tells you what's their margin of error. And we can test those labs and ask those labs, what are your margin of error? And they have to give us that margin of error. And the FDA already sets that standard for the food industry. So this has already been done, just so you know. We have a guidance to at least look at as an alliance.
Right on. And I think, again, it's pivotal in helping people understand a COA too. I think, you go to a store, again, not only is the product different, but then we try to educate folks in understanding the COA, and the COAs look so different. So it'd be really cool to find somebody that worked with us, a COA, and like we worked with these folks on not just a business level to verify they're legit. Somebody's really loud. Dennis, can you switch where you're located, buddy?
I have to say this with your COAs and your lab testing on THCs and deltas and cannabinoids. There is no standardized metric testing for any of it, right? Because it's not federally legal. For all my people who are growers out there, I mean, that's like having a parts per million or EC pen, and every single one of us calibrating it with different calibration solution, right? So we're relying on tests with no standardized metrics whatsoever. So really, in the end of the day, your testing is pretty much junk unless we can come up with a standardized methodology for it.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to make sure there's not heavy metals in quantifiable amounts and all this other stuff you hear about. I mean, I think
that's a really simple thing to do through full CFU testing and things like that, full panel testing. What I'm saying is that we have a market that is sold on cannabinoid percentages. And the fact of the matter is that there's no standardized metric for cannabinoid testing.
You have labs across the nation that are using different methodologies for testing. There is no standardized format because it's not federally legal. So for us in Wisconsin to come up with an idea, we have to work with our labs directly. We work with Badger Labs. I don't see what's wrong with them. They're a phenomenal lab. But if we have multiple labs together, we have to make sure that they're all using the same standardized testing metrics, or that your tests don't mean anything if we're all doing different methodologies.
I think that is probably an agreement, it looks like. I'm trying to still find this vote thing, so let's move to the next topic for discussion. Where did my notes go here? Sugar. Here we go. Advocacy for medical and wellness access. I was thinking maybe we kind of touch base with the veterans of the group, and then Lucy, as far as what do you guys think something could look like as far as a lot of us here, a good chunk of the people coming into these places, locales, is people seeking relief. We can't tell them this will help with that, right? Like that's just, you can't do that. What do you guys have for just ideas on, understanding people who could benefit from the plant and how we could get that message to them, but also cover our ass? Is there anything that you guys are aware of? Again, as a united front that we could brainstorm.
Yeah, so I'll just speak real quick on this part. So just so you all are aware, so nurses finally got recognized to have like a cannabis nurse specialty. So something that is currently also happening is nurses literally nationwide, they're looking to like standardize on what that looks like. And so of course what that means is how do we educate nurses on the forefront? So there is actually information that we have from our nursing, like again, our like board that reviews us and everything. So there is some things in place. So Bobby, you are completely right. We can't say, like, oh, I prescribe taking this for this amount of pain. If you, again, it'd be like prescribing a medicine. So it would be like, instead of saying, I prescribe, you have anxiety, I would prescribe 25 milligrams of Xanax. You couldn't say, hey, I specifically say this specific one. Sure. However, you can mention though, like CBD has been researched to help with anxiety. Or for example, if you've had too much THC, did you know that CBD, specifically nano-encapsulated CBD, can help lower the psychoactive effects of THC? So you can talk a little bit more about what's happening inside the body, which is highlighting things like the endocannabinoid system. So there's ways that you can definitely do it. There's also too, again, ways like as you see in states where cannabis is adult use. So like in Minnesota and in Illinois, you can also have terpenes again that have research based on it. So you can use those things as well. Awesome.
Dennis, I'm not trying to but bro, I'm going to need you to keep a little of your passion. We got a lot of folks with a lot of input, and we got a lot of hands up. So if I don't pull on you right away, we're just trying to get everybody an equal opportunity here at the table. We've got a couple, just whoever talk, if you had your hand up, I can't really tell what's going on. There's so many hands up and stuff here. I'm really sorry. But if somebody had something, or actually, let's move to the veterans take real quick. CJ, got a hot second?
Yeah. So one of the things that we're doing with Balance Veterans Network is we're taking the peer support approach. But we may not be medical professionals, any of us. We all have our own experiences. So what we share with our community is how this medicine has helped us in different ways. And that's the beauty of having a community and having, people like Lucy and communities and working all together is we can share that information. From one veteran to another, I can tell a story to them. And I'm not giving medical advice. I'm simply speaking out what worked for me. And with our community, we have some pharmacists and doctors working with us, helping design tinctures that are specifically based with some of the terpenes to have known effects. So to increase the CBD ratios and then add certain terpenes, we know that it can be more effective for sleep or assistance or for reduction of anxiety or a formula that helps more for PTSD to help deal with things like that. Are things that we're working on formulating. But I think the big key on it is peer support. We are a community. Cannabis is a medicine that's unlike anything else because we don't share medicine like we share cannabis. For thousands of years of history of mankind, it's shown that we've taken this plant and shared it together amongst one another around campfires, orally, however we've taken it. So the key is leaning into the community. You can find somebody that is similar to you, but somebody else might take that same medicine that's relieving you and give them anxiety. So you need to be able to have those conversations with a wide variety of people. And like I said, it really comes down to the community, and that aspect is very important. And that's what we're providing for our veterans. But as I'm doing this for the veterans, it's for the greater good of us all. Our community's open to everybody. So that's what we got to do. Just share this knowledge and work together.
And CJ, because I think that is so awesome. You and Lucy, you cover, we'll just call it a rough. I would assume roughly a third of people going to dispensaries in Wisconsin are veterans. A third are people seeking pain relief, learning that something could be available here in Wisconsin. Then a third is your cannabis consumers who just know what's up and are covering their ass and buying local because they figured out this is dope. So to have those voices there, I think is huge because what is it like, CJ, if someone asks you right now, hey, I'm in Wisconsin, do you know of a place to go and get good, reputable cannabis? Is it a little murky for you?
So
just spill the beans, Carl.
There's a lot of gray areas when you want to speak on this, because you can tell them to come to Illinois and go in the recreational market. There is, like you said, there's plenty of great places in Wisconsin. And I'm not trying to knock any of the places that are selling it in gas stations. I know that popped up in the comments earlier, but we need to make sure the quality of the product is there. Some of these people are buying thousands of gallons of distillate from who knows where, done who knows how. And one of the big things I want to advocate for is we need home grow. Horticulture is therapy. I grow my own, but I still go to the dispensaries and buy stuff. There's enough slices of pie for everybody to have one. All of your businesses can maintain if we all work together and hold the politicians accountable for the voice of the people. And that's what I'm doing as a veteran. I fought for our country, and so have my brothers and sisters, and that's what we're doing now is we're fighting for the advocacy side. We need your support as a community because we alone can't do it, but our voices together are loud. And people like myself have a big, loud, booming voice. And I'm willing to go stand in front of the politicians and tell them how beneficial this medicine is. It saves people's lives. This isn't just veterans. PTSD is across the board in our country. I'd say probably 75% of Americans suffer from PTSD. And even if you're using this medicine recreationally, if it makes you smile and feel good, it's medicine. And that's exactly what we need in this world.
Wow. Thank you, sir. Because again, Michigan's legal, right, folks? So if we're talking about legalization is the answer to all of our cannabis problems, Michigan is legal. CJ, how do they get back to veterans? Why are you guys starting a network to get to the voice, get down to the people level to actually help I feel like so much gets lost in legalization that's in the fluff, but it's not in the bread and butter of why it's there. It hasn't been figured out like that. Thank you. We need somebody like that every move of the way with how Wisconsin cannabis looks. If we can show him, hey, here's the directory of folks doing it the right way, the stamp of approval on the products, the packaging. So the people you're sending here in Wisconsin, again, the hardest thing for me was to know who I could trust because I got people coming at me from all over the state. So I'm sure that's what CJ runs into. He's actually Illinois, are you, or Michigan? He's weird. What is he?
I'm from Illinois. I'm right on the border.
Oh, we do have an Illinois guy in here, guys. I super apologize. But I knew the moment you saw him, you'd understand why this guy gets it. And he does have a local extension through Eric, who's in here as well, and just as awesome. But thank you, CJ. That is exactly what this table needed to hear, because knowing that we can work with somebody like you, I guarantee you every one of these folks is like, fuck yeah, let's go. This is the people we need to help. So thank you for that. That was beautiful.
I need to see all your license plates at your own dispensaries, not over here.
Bro, that should be a shirt. I love that.
But look, here's the deal, man. Wisconsin is an agriculture state. You guys are known for farming.
Exactly.
Why are we holding the great states back that have this down? Y'all know what you're doing. Bring it to the people. That's all I got to say on that. There's no reason for this to be imported from California or wherever it's coming from or however you get it. Grow it in your own state. Then you know what's in it. It's coming out of the land that we have. Wisconsin has some of the best water and some of the best land for agriculture in our country. And why our crops aren't being grown there is beyond me.
Thank you.
I'll attest to that. Our soil tests are phenomenal through the roof being along the Niagara Escarpment. We have the best soil in the Midwest, if not the nation. And it's amazing to see the types of minors, cannabinoids popping out. And I got 11 cannabinoids popping on tests. Like there's shit that's popping up that you've never even seen in these dispensary COAs. It's unbelievable. And then to amend your soils with what's needed, if you do every grow you send in soil to see what you might need for miners, magnesium, manganese, all these miners that soil's the bomb, man. I know some of my friends here do hydroponics and that's great for them too, but I'm in love with the soil. I grew up on a farm. You can't replicate that indoors. Could I just add something too? I've been waiting here. Sorry. I wanted to get back to the packaging ideas and things of that sort that we kind of skipped over.
Yeah.
I think the group would be very well advised if we could I could even help just come up with a sample package with little bullet points of what you should, because DATCAP did a good when DATCAP had authority or advisory over the hemp program, it was great because we actually had people from Weights and Measures come out to the farm and look at packaging, make sure that you're covering all the ins and outs of what should be, presented as a supplement versus a food. We're missing that right now because there's no more funding for that program. But for us, if we could just come up with a couple of diagrams that could help smaller companies developing new product lines and establishing packaging, if we could just show them the ins and outs of what is needed or what is suggested by us to make sure that we include, safety, amount of cannabinoids. Don't be afraid to expose what exactly you're putting in each unit. Like if you have THCP, how many milligrams are in that? Here's the COA to prove that. If there's a full panel, provide a link. QRs do tremendous good on your packaging. Send people to that immediately with their phone to show them what is in that product. And don't be afraid to expose that.
100%.
And then also another thing, and then I'll be done. I'd like to see this group come up with a diagram as well that is kind of a suggested use and quantitatively what that is. Okay, THC, we suggest 5 milligrams per dose, CBD 50, and then kind of like how mushroom psychedelics are, a 1/4 gram is a microdose, 5 grams is a hero dose. Where do you fall in between on each cannabinoid suggested use? Something stupid simple that could be put on a website that's a diagram, because diagrams speak tenfold as opposed to long-winded conversation.
No, you hit that on the head, and I think that's something.
So if we come up with a couple diagrams that can inform businesses that are, currently grinding and businesses that want to put product out there, give them something that DATCAP doesn't really have available anymore.
Yeah, that's an awesome point, man.
If they get involved, they will have more to say there, but there's no boots on the ground right now.
Sure. And again, Craig, you can attest to this. You've worked with USDA, DATCAP, these guys come to your farm, right?
They come to your front door if they have to.
Right. But now, just real quick, how you're a pretty well put together man. You're a pretty smart man. So I feel like when they come to talk to you, you're probably like me, which is like, they're going to try to get me, but I know I got my shit together. This is going to be long and boring, but let's get it over with. We're opposed to if it's not just you out there and then you're talking to these guys and you're like, well, me and 35 other Wisconsin businesses and 14 other growers and, the Nurses Association of Wisconsin, all that, like, here's what we've come up with. Maybe you could help us with your input, as opposed to, I feel like you guys all kind of out there by yourselves. These agencies are coming in and it's hard for them to get a same voice from all of you. This would, right? You'd probably feel a lot better in that situation, right?
Yeah. If you have things to present somebody on demand, you're already 20, 40 times ahead of the curve. Like USDA came here last summer and it was just a periodic visit. And they told me specifically, hey, if you're doing something wrong, you would know. You would know already before I got here.
Yeah.
So it's actually reassuring to know, and all of you should know, they know exactly what you're doing, even if you're not getting in trouble. If you're doing something wrong, they know. Mm-hmm. It's just that they may not be in a position to be willing to address it or want to address it. I raised a number of questions with USDA last summer that actually got the guy in trouble for asking internally. And he come back to me and say, I got to stop this conversation. My superiors have said that we've already dug in a little too deep at this point, and we're just going to have to put that on the table for now. And that was regarding THCA and its influx. But sure. I think we're all in a safe place right now. Just hit it. Let's put together some informative pieces that we can share. And I think diagrams will speak loudly as opposed to these long-winded discussion groups.
100%.
That's just the designer in me.
No, you're good.
Pictures speak loudly.
Exactly. And again,
Yeah.
I appreciate you keeping it real and all you guys do with me. And that's what keeps me going, because otherwise I will talk forever about anything, because that's just what I freaking do. So, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So that's why we're explaining a little more than we would hopefully be able to move things a little quicker once we get some structure with what this alliance looks like. So thank you. Great points. When we're talking, we had Kayla had a hand up and Quicksilver.
You're on mute.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
How about that?
There we go.
There we go. Okay, I just wanted to chime in real quick. I love all of these topics, all of these ideas. These are really key points for us to be chatting about. Being a soil steward, being an ingredient steward, those are all really important things. And if we can become a standard steward to the point where the rest of the nation and potentially the rest of the world adopts our standards, that would be huge. One thing that I ran into this last year in regards to making our own products, there's a big tincture company. It's probably top 10 in the nation, shipping across all 50 states. And they changed their ingredient list to include polysorbate 80. That is directly linked to cancer. So there's so much that we should protect Wisconsinites from and the rest of the world. And I think, oh man, it's so cool to see all of us here together talking about it. So
yeah, it really is. And you bring up just even another point of, again, it's a lot for you guys right now. You hear about something like that, and then it probably works its way to most of you, and you're like, well, let's make sure it's not in our product. Where, again, this alliance, if we do this right, now it's, hey, alliance, check into this. You guys don't all have to stress over it individually, and then we discuss it together once we talk to Lucy, who looked up how that does affect with like, oh my gosh, fucking A. Okay, focus. Sorry for swearing. I was said I wasn't going to swear. I got to start not swearing. I think my daughter is way smarter than she's leading on to be, and I just don't want her to hear me swear. So, collaboration. We're talking here charity, because the seal. I think we can all agree that the seal has to be a thing, but it's going to be so much discussion to what that seal looks like, so that the consumers know it's been a vetted product. I put polls in the comments, or if you look, you should see a poll somewhere. I don't know where you guys find that. Somebody has done the polls I put out. Can you guys explain how you see that? Because I just see how I make the poll. I don't know how you guys access it. Can you go to her way? Oh, go to activities. It's like a square, a box, and a circle. Is it in there?
Yep.
Cool. So if you guys want to check on that. So if you can fill those out, we'll kind of grab those at the end, and I'll add them as we're going, so you can just check in on them. Again, this is not a Bobby Beans thing. This is just laying out a table and a bunch of freaking ideas. There needs to be some reining it in, and I just want to help you guys. So thank you for letting me do this. Put your vote in there so we can decide what things are going to look like, and again, work on that structure for the next, going forward. So I believe, I'll put in there if we should do the seal. I think that's going to be a pretty easy thing that we would all agree on. For products, sorry, that's all caps. I don't have time to go back and change it. You guys know what I'm doing with that. Charity, I think an awesome opportunity is to, whether it's, you hear a lot of this when folks are looking at legalization or whatever again, we want to call this, that people focus on these big name charities like Make-A-Wish, and I'm sure they're great, right? But if we could incorporate some way to give back to local communities from the launch, is that something we should focus on? Whether that's, it might only be an hour every 2 months that 4 or 5 of us come together and go pick up a park or something. But I feel like, in my opinion, again, building this transparency, building this care for the community, in my opinion, I thought it was something at least to bring to the table as a discussion, and see where we're at on that, to prove, again, why we want to be here, why we should be here. So where are we at on that front?
I'll speak as a director of a nonprofit organization. I'll tell you the most important thing to do is get the community with you. It is super duper important to engage your community in every aspect. We are the black sheep coming in as Cannabis. I've been working with this nonprofit for 6 years now. funding is difficult. Voices are hard. They think we're just a bunch of stoners often, and the community looks at us that way. And we can go out there and prove to them that we're not. We're veterans, we're nurses, we're lawyers, we're successful people who choose cannabis as an alternative way to heal. And engaging the community and changing that stereotype, especially in Wisconsin, is what you need to do. The Tavern League is powerful. We need to show them we're not going to take anything away from that. We're just going to make the community better.
Love it. I think that's a great take. Anybody else?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on an idea for some sort of standard medical discount. You know, I don't know about any of you, but you know, in our retail stores, we have certain customers who severely need these products, you know, evident that they're wheelchair bound or going through cancer or chemo. And I think it would be super easy for us all just to commit to some sort of discount. If it's at the retailer's discretion, you know, so be it. But you know, if we have some sort of infrastructure laid to laminate a card or something and pass out to the folks that we all know need it the most, I mean, I think that's the most direct way that we can have an impact on people.
That's an awesome idea. I think we'll put that in the comments again. That's similar to what you do, right, CJ, with like Michigan Market and getting people a card to hook them up because of the medicine, right?
Oh, it's coming. You want to watch the
exactly
paper?
what you want to do. You want to reduce the access to the people that need it most. Cost is a prohibition for people, and that absolutely shouldn't be enough. Like I said, there's enough pie in this for everybody to have a slice. If the shops and the growers are able to find a way to collectively give back, it's huge. We have a program, another nonprofit we work with, and they're able to get medicine out into veterans' hands throughout our country. And it's through donations from the growers directly. So there's ways to do it. And if we put our minds together collectively and work within the regulations of the state, so I don't want to speak out of turn here and say what you should or shouldn't do or what any of these other places are doing. But there is definitely a way we can find the members in our community like we do at Balance Veterans Network. When our veterans come in, we vet them. We know they're veterans already. So when we send them to our medical provider for their card, it's super simple for them. There's no cost. They come in, they know they're veterans. Our medical provider staff know that they're veterans, and it's as easy as have that telehealth meeting like this one-on-one and get your card, reduce the access, and find the dispensaries that are willing to work with our community and give even deeper discounts, especially to those who are in more need. You'll know those people. If you run a store, you've come across those people who are truly in need, who are coming in for that medicine, and you know that they're living on Social Security disability or veteran disabilities. And you know that's with the cost of everything else going up. I know it's more expensive than ever to produce our medicine. There's still enough pie to share with the people who need it most. And that's exactly what we need to do, is focus on the community. Those of us who have the ability and are still working, we pay our taxes, we go to work, and we'll support your shops. And that's one of the things we do at Balance Veterans Network is we tell our community, these are the dispensaries that are going to help the people the most. So support them. Maybe their prices are $5 more for you, but they're going to give back a lot to the community. And that sells more to me as a human being than anything, because this medicine opens up our hearts and it speaks to us that way. So I want to be more mindful and give back wherever I can.
Awesome, man. That's very well put, I believe. And charity, sustainability, those go hand in hand, like Sean said. Real quick, Access has a hand up.
Hey, this is Shauna. I worked actually in passing a compassionate care resolution for the city of San Francisco back in 2006, 2007. I'm, sort of a legacy policy shaper and community builder. And one idea I wanted to put out there is kind of getting us arranged into different committees and what we specialize in.
Yes.
I can definitely hear the compassion voices at the table of my own state, which is just so beautiful to hear everyone chiming in. When we worked so hard in the city of San Francisco, I ran a cannabis harm reduction center for a decade, getting medicine to people that would never be able to afford market rates. So hearing the voices at the table today, hearing the different voices from the farmers, from the nurses. Maybe if we all kind of have, like a patients committee, a producers committee, and then we can bring our notes in as we join the table as a full alliance each time, so that each sort of piece of our pie has a voice at the table that's organized. And we can also, I hear a lot of the compassion advocates here, us having our committee and bringing to the table what our goals are, in each committee, and also having a media committee when we know we have to address things, like what happened at the Pizzagate thing, having that media committee that could write out, a press release from our perspective, get it to the media outlets, and already start steering the media as to where we want this conversation to go. Because in a strange way, it opened up the conversation, So I'm just so happy to be here with everyone as a legacy stakeholder from, working in California, but grew up in Wisconsin. This is like just really beautiful. And I'm just glad we're all here together.
Thank you so much. That is awesome. Again, so yeah, we have an Illinois guy in here, and then we got a lady from California. This is a crazy little meeting we got going here, folks. No, it's awesome to hear you checking in with Wisconsin, being that this was essentially what became your life, but you had to take that to California for whatever reason. So we appreciate you checking in and kind of spreading a little education.
Yeah, and I'm back here in Wisconsin now.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm right here. I'm in River West, Milwaukee, and
Let's
I'm here
go.
to talk about equity too. And I started a lot of the equity discussions and places at the table in the city of San Francisco. So I want to put that out there too.
Awesome.
Just really, really happy to see this happening.
Cool. Well, thank you. We really appreciate you being here. So I think we're all kind of in something similar with that. We'll put that. Did I get that one in here in the comments? Yes, we're going to just put in paste discount for medical and veterans with an alliance card or something similar. Again, please just kind of check the polls, adding a few things as we come along. What I think we're all kind of learning here is the fact that you guys are still here and we've discussed as much as we have so far. I think it's suffice to move this thing to, there's so much we could, it's overwhelming the amount of stuff. Wisconsin Cannabis, you guys have held some of it together. So even the fact that you have more than 1% held together with no oversight or guidance, and let alone you're not at 1%, okay? I just have no idea where you put that. The fact that you guys are here and the amount of stuff that has to be done to now kind of come together and help you guys by solidifying what you're doing, getting that to the people so they can come out and support, and we can do all these things the right way and build this thing. We need to talk about, we discussed in the last couple of meetings, it was a unanimous voting that we need to figure out a nonprofit, because we're going to have to get a pact together, because unfortunately that's how things work with politicians and legislating all that kind of thing. So I think we focus real quick on the board so that we can try to talk some kind of structure so that coming into the next meeting, it's no longer, okay, wait, do we all agree on enough to move forward? So I guess what I'm going to ask right now is, do we kind of put a pause on the topics and vote on board now? Or like discuss board, sorry, not vote on board, because I have no idea. No one knows what this is going to look like, and it's going to take a minute. So vote on board is going in there. If you can just vote yes or no, because I don't want to ask it on camera, because I don't want you to have to vote because you saw someone's hand go up, because let's be honest, that does happen sometimes. I do it, you do it, don't lie to me. So we're going to hit save and launch, especially Eric Jansen in there with his football cards he steals from little kids and makes thousands of dollars on. Please just vote on that one real quick if you could. I think we've got, oh my God, how many people are in here? How do you tell? 39 people in here. So once we get, what's half of 39? Oh God, Jesus. 21. If we get 21 votes, one way or the other, we're going to go that route. Again, everybody in the call, please place your vote. You're welcome on this, because that's what we're working on right now, is making sure we're all on the same page. And then again, focusing our efforts on moving forward, because we got enough in common, I think. Again, that's my take, but I don't want this to be my decision. Please, this is not, I'm just the crazy guy that likes to talk. No one's noticed. We got 11 votes. Come on, y'all. You're sleeping. Somebody's sleeping behind the counter. Get your votes in. You just click on activities. It's a little square, circle, and triangle, and then go to polls. Go down to the number 10 poll. We're almost got enough votes. We're at 13 votes. Thought this would go quicker. Hey, I'm not taking up the time now. It's y'all. I'm just waiting for votes. We got 17 votes. Pete, did you vote?
I might have.
What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh my God. Pete, are you sampling your own product on the clock?
No, I'm sampling Carbon's product on the clock. No.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough.
But are you going to explain like the positions and like how it's going to be broken down before we vote?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. We're just moving to the board discussion. Correct. No, it's not a vote yet. It's making sure we're all on the same page. 20 to 3. We need one more vote. Okay, cool. So the majority voted in favor of that. Again, folks, when we can get to a point where it looks like something like that, that was a lot quicker than any of us talking because a lot of us are on the same page. Again, just let's keep rolling. When it comes to, if you can see the screen, I don't know if I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it with the folks over there, but let me share it to you guys. Actually, that might blow this computer up legitimately. So discussing the roles needed. This is in the outline I sent you guys. My understanding, and this is where I'm hoping we can kind of tap into some of our Minnesota friends because each of these folks have been a part of multiple alliances. So I'm pretty sure they've been at where we are, which is how do we technically set this up so this is legitimate? And again, we don't have to use them, but I think does anybody else have a very good understanding, or is everyone okay if we let Minnesota just kind of explain what that could look like and what maybe they've come to learn?
Hey, Bobby.
Yo.
I just want to congratulate Minnesota on exposing those cheaters in the social equity license process. Like, what was it, like 2/3 or something?
Out of
They
state.
exposed all these MSOs that were trying to get their hands on them.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you guys on doing that. That's kind of what we need here in Wisconsin.
Exactly. I agree with that.
For clarity, it wasn't. We had a mixture. We kind of had two buckets. One was cheaters and schemers, and one was simple mistakes.
Oh, okay.
And so they tossed a lot of legitimate, independent, small applicants as well along. They kind of threw the baby out with bathwater.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they did that in Illinois as well. With the governor and actually Cresco, and they had a scheme going on with the lottery where they cut a lot of social equity applicants out. So I'm with the Cannabis Equity Illinois Coalition, which helped spearhead the bill to legalize in the state of Illinois. And then they had a scheme going on with the lottery, with the first original lottery. And then once we blew that out the water, then they came back and, we found 20 social equity licenses. You guys that applied, go and look, and you have a 10-day period, which is just 10 days. It's not 10 business days. It's just 10 days to get that money in. So, we didn't receive the email and the notification until 3 days later. So we were scrambling, with 7 days, to get this $50,000 together, which, it has to be cash. And so, by us blowing them out the water, now what they've done is the MSOs, they took their money and they pack money and they bought the legislation. So that's why they were trying to come in and force hemp out on the federal side with the 2024 Farm Bill. Gotcha. So, we're in legislation right now, still, figuring everything out as far as minority.
And even in Illinois, Aaron, would it benefit you guys to have an alliance similar to this to be going up to that battle? Oh, did he disconnect? We might have lost Aaron. He looked pretty excited. He might have hit that disconnect button on accident. So real quick, Marion or Curtis, I don't know if Laley was in here. How does a nonprofit board generally look in a city? You guys have a pretty good understanding of what we're looking to establish. Again, for those who haven't had a chance to kind of catch real quick, these folks were essentially where we are, a few different organizations, a few different movements to try and come together with cannabis. And they started Minnesota Ready, which essentially could be what our safety is here, Alliance, which is it's not just the farmers, it's not just the growers, it's not just the retail stores, it's not just we have this working umbrella. Are you guys shitting your pants a little bit that when you told me you need to try to get people together, Beans, that I brought you this many people? When I get a mission, my passion can complete that mission. I feel I'm not unstoppable, but boy, you put me to the test, I will prove you wrong. If we hop on a treadmill, I haven't done this in a long time, but in right after high school, that's when I started to really get overweight. I can hop on a treadmill and you will get off before me or I will die, because like I can tune my brain in when I have to. And please let me help you guys in some kind of capacity. And please trust these folks from Minnesota. If you guys send me a bill after this, I'm kicking all your asses. But yes, what can a board look like?
So if you get a bill after this, it's Laylee's fault, not mine or Kurt's.
Fair.
So how we structured Min is Ready was not necessarily traditional nonprofit. It had a very small governing board of about 3 that dealt with the administrative day-to-day boring crap. And then what we did from there is we created an advisory board, and that advisory board met at a minimum once a week while we were in that legislative session. And it was a diverse stakeholder group of people that we knew could work collaboratively, have disagreements, show each other's blind spots, but not like start stabbing each other in the back, in the middle of the process. And it also kept that governance and administrative burden off of their plate while still giving them a meaningful place to contribute. Beyond that, we had work groups. So we had like a coalition membership, but we opened these up to anybody that shared the values of the coalition: equity, justice, promoting small business, all of those sorts of things. And say we would have one meeting that was about cultivation size. What sort of cultivation caps do people need that are planning to cultivate in order to have a solvent business? And how does that interplay with the larger companies wanting to come into our state and try to dominate our market? And we were relatively successful in creating policies in that collaborative way. I think we garnered a lot of credibility with the legislature because we were so engaged with stakeholders. So when I'm kind of thinking about, this group and potentially moving forward and mirroring that, when you talk about that core governance board, those are the people that want to do the paperwork. Basically, like who wants to do the paperwork?
Which part was that? I missed making sure I put that somewhere because we all need to remember that. Who's the paperwork people?
You
you don't want me doing paperwork, guys. I'm terrible.
You're officially on payroll now.
Fuck, you should see how many post-it notes I have, you guys. I'm so sorry when I don't call you back. I'm trying my best. Who's the paperwork people, though? I need to make sure I write that down. Who's the paperwork people?
I mean, your paperwork people are going to be people that are filing your financial disclosures, your governing documents, all of the compliance.
What's that job title? Or what's that what is that called?
What do you mean? Like it could be like a board president, board treasurer. Like basically, gotcha. I know Minnesota, you have to have a board chair, a president, and a treasurer at a minimum.
Okay, so real quick, are the 3 members at the board level? Is that the same as the advisory board? No.
Nope, we had a much more expansive advisory board. I think Kurt, remind me, we had about 15.
I need secretary. Yes, I do. Okay. Yes. No, I agree. Okay. So you had 15. So with the advisory board, is that where we could have like retailers and they're able to like network and work together, unify, and then you have your farmers and then you have your producers, distributors. Are those advisory boards that you would be?
So those would be like work groups,
okay.
And you would have 1 or 2 people from each of those work groups that would formulate your advisory board. And
okay.
So we would have 2 manufacturers, but they were very different manufacturers. And, I had one that I had a husband and wife that shared an advisory board seat. They were white labelers, very like health conscious, organic, sort of like the granola, for lack of a better term, like hemp. And then we had another woman who is a younger Latina woman who has a fantastic edible product. And that was her only product at the time. She wasn't running retail. But her insight and their insight was so critical in how we looked at that manufacturing policy, because we were seeing the entire scale of manufacturing. So like trying to pick out those people that bring the diverse viewpoints but can work together without causing a bunch of drama. The other thing I will say very strongly, so I was the coalition director and I facilitated about 80% of these groups, the work groups, the advisory board, all of that. I came into that with well over 150 hours of conflict resolution training as mediator and facilitator. Find yourself a me.
Gotcha. That's good to know.
Those skills are imperative in managing the personalities in this industry and this community.
Huh. Yeah, that is definitely a job. That is, it's unique. So I guess my question is,
That's all gonna, Bobby, that's all gonna develop as we go too. I mean, we don't have the need for that immediately, so I think certain people will probably kind of fall into that place as we all get to know each other.
Yeah.
And then there'll be some hands being raised saying, hey, I can do this or I can do that, and start to delegate and then assign, you know, titles.
I agree with you there. So let's, again, so we can get something moving here going forward. Again, right now we all have a lot of great ideas. I think we can agree on a lot of stuff. I think we focus on deciding what the structure of this looks like. So I guess poll that I'm going to put out there real quick. Please pull up your polls. I'll get it ready so that let's see if this works. Let's go with, it sounds like the simplest way to kind of start is at that board. I'm sure you could add on to that, but I think especially with the amount of things that are going to need to be done, this is going to take some time out of some people's lives at these 3 board positions. So let's just find out if we're at a 3-member board to start. And again, there's going to be a lot more to this, but do we start with 3 folks that are kind of, we trust this, these are the bouncer backers, and let's start.
I think it's important though to check Wisconsin's laws, because the setup of a nonprofit kind of, the requirements are state-based.
Yes,
so
I think I read through.
It might be that you need more in Wisconsin.
Nonprofits.
I'm about to say, yeah, you definitely need more in Wisconsin, Bobby. I was on the Student Government Association, and so you have to make sure you have the minimum of quorum for a meeting in the state of Wisconsin. And a quorum is just the minimum amount of members that have to be present in order for a meeting to commence. So that, I know there is a law like that. They have like rules in Wisconsin for taking notes.
Why is it bringing me to the Wisconsin Historical Society? But it is Wisconsin Historical Society.org. It says every nonprofit organization in Wisconsin is required to have a board of 3 or more directors. The board of directors governs the organization, has certain legal responsibilities. Does anybody able to double check? Oh, here we go. Wisconsin Legislator 181.0808. A board shall consist of 3 or more individuals with numbers specified in or fixed in accordance with articles of incorporation or bylaws. Marion, real quick, I think to be fair, let's just if we can ask Minnesota real quick, is it better? Because you see that we have a lot of passion and a lot of agreements. Have you seen, is it better to have a larger group to start on the board or to keep that at like the minimum? Because I can see where both could be a benefit.
Well, as Marion mentioned, this core board really ought to be people that are interested in paper pushing and filling out forms and documents. And it very well might be you have 6 of those or 7 of those amongst your group. So I don't think voting right now that it should be 3 quite makes sense. It should be more on like, are these people
Or who wants to be a part of that?
Do we have more than 3 people interested in that position?
Ooh, that's a yes. That would make.
And the other thing too is that the board also is liable if the organization gets sued, and so you got to think about like who is willing to take on liability on behalf of everyone else that's a part of the group.
Fair.
And
We'll definitely need insurance as we move forward if get things formed.
Bob, if you want, maybe a good path forward is to ask folks who are interested in being on that nerdy governance board. It's Should I Love, so I'm going to call it that. Maybe get those folks together, and Kurt and I can tap in our colleague Laura, who is kind of like a nonprofit whiz, and does a lot of board dev, strategic planning, governance training, those sorts of things. And maybe Laura and I can meet with that smaller group and kind of get into the nerdy, like, governance stuff, and what the formal board looks like in actually getting that structure started. Because you've got 50 people on this call, and my guess would be at least 2/3 of them don't care about governance.
That seems pretty fair, because I think if you're saying basically we kind of take a poll on who would potentially be interested in that, taking on the extra responsibility to be a part of that, and then meet with you to kind of just explain what this board position could potentially look like. So it's not like you're telling us, hey, you guys should do this, and then we're going to steal your power, because I know some people in here are like, wait, watch these Minnesota fuckers. But realistically, oh shit, I swore again. You're talking, you would kind of be like, again, we see who wants to take on this extra responsibility. We could set something up where you guys can just share what that work actually looks like to give us an idea. And then we have like a voting procedure type thing.
Yeah, it just would be nice for people that are board curious to be able to stick their head up and get more information from someone that does nonprofit stuff all the time. And then after they get more info, they could then decide if they want to move forward with being on such a board, or if it doesn't quite sound right for them. But it'd be unfortunate to decide on a board of 3 when there maybe are
that's a great
more
point.
than 3 people that have an interest after getting more information.
Fair. So at this point, this is because we got, again, a lot of businesses, a lot of growers, a lot of that. And maybe I'm wrong that you guys have this extra time and want to be a part of this paper pushing part. Because there's a couple people that I want to make sure that just, again, I bring this only from the standpoint of, for the last year, I have focused on making sure every move I make is calculated, in that I am not picking favorites. I am not picking sides. I respect that you have beef with these guys over here, but I still need both of you. So I've worked with both of you, and I super appreciate that we have gotten this far. But let's be real. We need people that know what they're doing on this board level. So there are 3 people that come to mind, and can I share that with you guys real quick, and the why? And then we see who else would, if those guys want to do that, and or if we want to add more and kind of go from there. Or again, I don't want to be running the show, but I can guarantee you there's 3 folks in here that are a proven track record worthy of being on this board, from what they've done and what they can get done the moment we put them there.
Hey, Bobby, a question for you.
Oh, God. Go ahead, Pete. No, I'm just kidding. What's up, buddy? I love you, Pete.
Well, Waldo Hempworks made said something in the comments about will we be having an attorney sit on this board? I think that would probably be a good option. Somebody that, is well informed on cannabis law, kind of, I would say.
Yes, I agree with that. And actually, yes, one more quick question. Dylan touched on this, and we had it in our comments. In my opinion, folks, and again, I'm open to discussion, so please, but just don't come freaking at me, because then I get a little, motherfucker. I don't think any other state has had this approach, and I could be wrong. But if I feel like the people on this board, if they are part of the Wisconsin communities, if they are not tied to a cannabis retail, and again, maybe this is just me painting a picture. If this board is protected by, we aren't making profits at a company that we somehow on the back end get paid through by working on this board. Again, it can be done completely fair, and I understand that. I'm just saying for what we're trying to do, which is build this wall as strong as we can for when Mr. Voss comes. Dude, we're building a castle, and we're gonna have that, and we're gonna let him over here pretty quick. He's gonna be coming. Come on, Voss, we're ready for you. Do we want that board to have that extra protection and say these folks aren't even tied to money being made by this market? Wow, it's quiet. Somebody talk.
I'm curious if that's what Minnesota did.
Hey, there. Thank you, Lucy. Wow. Genius.
I mean, yeah, we didn't really have a very thriving hemp industry when we got started. I think it's 2019 that we kind of set the very first groundwork for or 2019. And just hemp wasn't popping at the time. So it was pretty easy to not have people that were industry folks and that were more into politics. And one of them went to law school. So it was a bit less complicated. I would say, like, keeping safety at the heart of this and asking the state government to put some sort of regulations in place. An industry that's begging to be regulated is kind of a really compelling story, and it's hard, I think, for politicians to be like, get out of here. The industry that wants to be regulated. So in some ways, maybe having people that are in the industry on this board makes sense. Definitely, though, the advisory council that you guys should put together should have tons of industry folks on it. It's really just a matter of, do those folks also want to do the oversight of the paperwork and the bylaws and all of that jazz is kind of the core question that, as I see.
And as you mentioned, like the liability aspect of it too. So that's something to keep in mind. Sorry, I interrupted, Brian.
You're good.
No,
if you guys want to check the polls too, we're going to be putting a couple of those on there. So real quick, should the board members have to reside in Wisconsin? I feel like I saw a lot of heads nod, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page. And then we'll ask too while they're discussing, so you don't have to vote right now. We can wait for a little more input. But should the founding board members be able to be business owners too? I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Sorry, Marion.
No, that's okay. I was just hoping I wouldn't forget the thought that popped into my mind. I think, like, from a governance standpoint, it's fine to have business owners. From an optics standpoint, that's more your question. But I think if you have an ironclad conflict of interest policy, and those members of the board that have a financial interest in the outcome of a decision that the board is making, and they abide by that conflict of interest policy, and there's solid documentation of that, that's probably okay. That would be my recommendation, is like have a ironclad conflict of interest policy if you're going to move forward. The other thing we saw here is people that were on boards, not necessarily Min is Ready, but other boards that didn't have an interest in a business when they started, but bought in or started a company or whatever during their term on the board. So it's really hard to police that. And that's where your COI comes in.
So
which would include disclosure of doing something of that sort.
So, right, because like the question that we get from the comments is, so if I'm a hemp business and I'm going to be on this board where I'm promoting hemp or, cannabis safety and regulation, is it plausible to say, okay, you could be a part of that, but you're disclosing your business, or that just sounds kind of messy. Is that, but we can do that?
100%. Yeah. I mean, the idea behind having a conflict of interest document and procedure is that if something is, explicitly something that you have a conflict, you make that conflict aware to everyone before making a vote of some sort.
Sure. that makes sense. So with that, we seem to be, looks like the board members reside in Wisconsin is overwhelmingly supported, and then be able to be business owners in this in the hemp industry, which again makes sense. Just make sure we're all on the same page.
Bobby,
Yeah.
can I say something? I think it would be a slap in the face for everything we've done since 2016 to get where we are today to not allow people in this industry to sit on this board. I'm just going to say it.
I agree with that. You guys are the
Absolutely.
reason we are still floating out, or still have a stake in the say, right, or the products that we're able to get. So that makes sense to me, and it looks like we've got the support and the votes. So we're gonna move ahead with that. When it comes to the folks that jump out at me when I'm talking about those three, again, I don't want to be the president of this thing. I want to be a part of it and be the voice of the people. I don't understand executive director for sure, but if there is a part that is keeping whoever is at the table together, I think that's where I can come in. So I don't know how that works, but essentially what it comes down to is I think we have a great group here, and there might be some individuals ready to make that jump. But the three folks that I would like to pitch to you guys as we're discussing what this would look like, because again, we have to be able to work together. So if there is people that have an outstanding background in something like this, I think we should highlight that and then see where we're talking. Those folks are going to be a gentleman who couldn't make it today because he's got those meetings, is Jay Seffelhofer. I would like to throw his name into, somebody who has been policy shaping, talking to all the politicians, that kind of stuff. What he knows is invaluable to, essentially he's been trying to form something like this. If I had to ask him, and bluntly, I think that would be his answer, something to back what he is out there doing, grinding every day. So when we talk about a legitimate person that could be something very fundamental to this, I would like to throw his name into the ring. We've got Marcus Greenio in here. Actually, what I was going to do real quick is just pull up people's LinkedIns, because let it speak for themselves. This isn't just me. I'm just telling you what I see in these folks. So if we look at Jay, well, I think most of us know Jay, but I don't want to overstep what Marcus also brings to the table, being that he was in that industry, or, been a part of hemp, been a part of this policy shaping, all that kind of stuff. Here we go. I think I'm sharing to you guys over here. Again, I know you guys don't have a lot of background on him, but currently and again, he didn't even know I was going to pull up his LinkedIn. I like to mess with him and not give him a heads up, and I want to be as fair as I can. So this is the way to shoot it straight with y'all. Policy and strategy specialist for 2 years. He owns Indigenous Think Tank LLC. He's been a part of that Hempstead Project Heart since 2018 when John Trudell left that to him. So again, when we're talking about people who've even been to the DC level, who have been a part of the hemp bill, who have moved the mountains, we've got Jay and we've got Marcus. Ashley's here. Speaking of mountain movers, she must have heard we needed help, because Ashley would show up to help you move a mountain, because that's how she rolls. So again, Jay, Marcus, if we could get those two at the table, I feel like either one of them would be cooking with the two of them. By golly, Robin Voss, we will drive you to this building. Like, we will give you the VIP experience. Come check out the Safety Alliance. I would love to take them out to lunch with these folks at the table. And if we're talking about building impenetrable board, in my opinion, Philip, you got to work on your LinkedIn, bro. That's what everybody uses today. Philip Scott, if I needed to make something change the state legislator tomorrow, Philip Scott might not have the prettiest way of getting it done, folks. But Philip Scott's going to walk out of that Capitol building tomorrow. He's going to have an arm missing, a leg missing, and he's going to be like, I fucking got him, Beans. I fucking got Voss to sign it. Like, that is Philip Scott, okay? I don't have much on paper, but I can tell you what this guy has done, the proof to back it up. I do wish we had a list of the farmers you work with. I understand you keep that, to yourself. So I respect that. I don't have much on paper, so I apologize. That's how you, Philip. You got to get your LinkedIn. I can't be biased. You got to fix your LinkedIn. That's like the working resume. So those are three folks that I just wanted to make sure before we talk about what this looks like, those are the three folks that if we can figure out how to harness their power and if they're willing to step up and into this, I think they need to be a key in that. We got a lot of questions. I'm so sorry, guys. Somebody talk. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do.
Beans. No, I'll throw my name in the hat. I've been doing this for a long time, and I really did not get in this business at all to make any money. I got in this business to bring the value and this plant to the people. And I still advocate, even to this day, even though we have no legalization, you get 21 plants for people to grow at home. It's some of my tactics might not be the best way to do things, but I'll get shit done. And there's nobody in that capital that will not take a meeting with me. Because if they don't, I'm going to get their own party to force them to have a meeting with me. So I'll leave it at that.
Told you folks, it's like, again, paper. We don't need paper, in my opinion, sometimes. So, and again, we can potentially have more board members, but he spoke up as that he would like to toss the hat in the ring, which is awesome. Jay, unfortunately, is not here, so we'll see what he says, but I would sure hope, and even just what he offered up for this meeting as assistance and, understanding wanting to be a part of this, we'd want to reach out to him. Marcus, I saw you in the comments, but if you just wanted to take the floor for a second. Again, so actually, yeah, and I can show you guys my phone. I can show you, I got cameras on each of my doors, right? Because I think Voss is going to kill me one day. No, I had those before all this, but I can prove to you that I didn't talk to Marcus. I didn't talk to Philip. I didn't talk to Jay. Jay probably doesn't even know. I told him, hey, I think we should throw your hat into the ring, but I promise you can check my text, you can check my phones. I'm not trying to pull any kind of shit when I bring Marcus to the table either. And he can tell you, Marcus. Oh, he says, give me a few minutes. Mark, he's probably taking a shit. So we'll give him a minute because I want you to hear from him. And then who else at this discussion that kind of fits the narrative? That you could be a hemp owner or not, and is in Wisconsin. Does anybody else have the time, effort, energy? Because again, I think we could, the more the merrier. If it's truly something that you feel you're up to and can have the time and passion to do we have anybody else in here who would like to be a part of that? Again, the council is going to be there, and I think we can work that so they basically have just as big of a. We don't want it to be, we're focusing just on the farmers or just on the this, that, the other. So we're going to have this vision is going to still be big. But again, these people that are doing the policy, the paper, not beans, we need that as bulletproof as possible. Do we have somebody else who wants to join that?
There's some hands up.
What's up?
Do you want to call on people with their hands up?
Yes. Are these in order? I don't even know how this works. Kayla, Carbon, Dennis, and Junk, and Sean, and Pete. Oh, shit. Okay, let's just go. I think Junk was first. We're going to go to, first to last. Junk Hunk, you're up if you had a comment.
I was just going to comment about the retail locations earlier. That was it.
Oh, you're good.
And I don't think we should go to retail locations. So I think that that most of our education should rely on our manufacturers and our distributors, and the retail locations should be as open as possible. Having as many retail locations out there that are selling cannabis is going to be a benefit to the industry all around. I don't think that limiting retail locations should be a priority or a factor in this at all, in my opinion. Being a dispensary owner and a distributor, I think that's the best avenue for the industry. That's it.
Appreciate your input, sir. I would agree with that. Then the next up I had is Dennis. Dennis, did you have an input on this one? Or throwing your name in the ring?
Yes, sir. Actually, I had a comment about something you had mentioned earlier, so I'm just going to breeze through it real quick here. The idea of having the industry inside of this meeting and inside of your group and things like that, I just think that there's enough folks that have taken over the cannabis industry in the last 4, 5, 6 years that have never had a part in it their whole life, and the only reason they jumped in it to begin with is because of money. So I think that anybody who's been involved in this industry should be the first ones at the table, not the corporate guys that want to do it for the cash.
Fair enough. Appreciate that, sir. We got Carbon, Mr. Austin.
Yo, it's somewhat related to this. I definitely don't want to be considered for the board. More work than I'm trying to take on right now. But I think the main point I wanted to make, and I do think a lot of people agree with me, is we're trying to tackle two different problems right now. One of the problems is we need to self-regulate as a coalition, and I really don't think a board is necessary to do any of that. I think there's enough business owners in here with control over the market that we can get together and set those standards, and it doesn't need to be a legal established thing. On the same side of that coin, I do think we do need to establish, some type of coalition or alliance that is making these marketing efforts, or not marketing, but lobbying efforts to push what we already have self-established and regulated forward legislatively. I know I can name 4 or 5 people in here that have been to Madison with me that have had those conversations with legislators, and it's one of those things that, it's great to have the conversations, but it's not going anywhere. So we need to self-regulate, show them we can set the example right, and that way it helps us form whatever that legislation is a lot more effectively, because we can establish what we want as business owners and people that are actually moving this market.
So
I think we're
real quick, again, as a voice of the people and the concerns that I've had myself and brought up when we're talking about cannabis in Wisconsin, is this board that would be self-regulating without a board overseeing it, and it's just the retail locations, is that board willing to be a part of this coalition and to be transparent in, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all you guys, and I have all the faith in the world for you to figure that out, but just knowing what that looks like behind closed doors and how long that would take, that's just where my concern comes in.
No, I think that's 100% valid, and obviously not everybody is doing things as we all would like them to, but I do think there's enough people in here that we can get together and be part of the overall larger force, but as business owners and bring that self-regulation ourselves.
Sure. So you don't.
I don't think like elected board members, it could be something as simple as like an alliance is a great word, right? Every business pays $50 a year to whatever nonprofit's established on the higher end, just for that seal, and they can be audited at any time. They can be looked into by whoever we elect further down the road, but this is something that could happen this week. I mean, we can all, as business owners, come together and agree, yes, we need COAs on everything. Yes, we need chain of custody on everything. Yes, there's so many different things that we all agree with and can talk about. We just need to put it in writing. And if it's as simple as someone signing off on it and agreeing with these things, great. But I don't think it needs to be overthought, because at the end of the day, and this is going to be my controversial opinion, legalization will hurt more of us than it will help more of us. And I say that from a business owner perspective. For as far as patients and consumers go, it's going to help them immensely, because the education will obviously help. They'll know it's legal, they can have access to it. But I think from a self-regulating standpoint, we can start that today, and there already is businesses that have started that, but if we set the standard with a seal or an official name to it, it's going to be way more effective.
And I think where that where that comes to is, again, so I can show you with what I've done over the last year. I want to be plugging you guys, but I need something more than just paper saying, hey, we're doing things legit now. So whatever that looks like, whether that's me or the public being a part of some of these decisions, is that I'm just making sure this isn't a private, we're going to just give you papers and show you what we're doing type situation.
Lab results. I mean, that's a big thing we could do right away, is just start doing full panel testing. That speaks for itself,
Right. Again, with understanding of legitimateness of where these panels are coming from.
How about the same lab that we all use? Everybody, I mean, how many people here use the lab in Stevens Point?
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say, like, the way I'm hearing this is kind of a differentiation between direct action, which is activities that can be done independently of getting the government involved. And I think that that's great. I think people organizing without government coercion, perfect. Go for it. I say full steam ahead. But there also, I think, needs to be some sort of regulations, and it's wise, I think, for the industry to be at the table when discussing that, because there's going to be more things like Pizzagate that happen, maybe different circumstances, but there's going to be more bad things that occur in a completely unregulated market that's going to trigger the government wanting to have some regulations in place. And if you guys can be the ones that hand them the bill that says, here's a great way to move forward, that's a good position to be in. So I think riding two horses at once is a good idea. And yeah, it makes sense to me to self-select as to who joins which group, and maybe some people can be in both groups.
Sure. And again, to give you kind of just the understanding, again, Austin, I give you huge kudos for doing it the right way when it comes to getting, again, not just from a business standpoint, but let's talk about the business standpoint. Getting Sensei THC hemp beverages into Quick Trip. Again, I don't even want to know how much work that took you of talking and swindling, doing your pitch of this is why it needs to happen. You did it right because the managers are all aware of it. But again, with how many Quick Trips there are, the Cannabis Coalition or somebody has to step up and say, hey, Quick Trip, none of your cashiers know about this. You're not doing a good enough job. Just self-regulating isn't doing a good enough job.
I totally agree. And I think both those points of there needs to be some type of regulation officially, like legislative wise. But that would become in the form of advisory roles on the board. And
sure.
This alliance that we're talking about forming between business owners would essentially report to this alliance as an officially incorporated entity. I guess the point that I'm making is we're talking about two different things here. One of which is, the regulation and the education. The other which is legalizing it in Wisconsin. And I think they're equally important. I want to just make sure I'm standing 10 toes down on that. But there's already conversations happening in Madison to stop a lot of what's happening. You mentioned Quick Trip. That actually pissed off a lot of more people than you would expect in Madison. And they're actively working on things to not allow that to happen.
No, sure.
So I think it's like Curtis said, two horses is a great way to put it. We're riding in the same direction, but working with different things at the same time.
Agreed. So yes, I think it's we all seem like it's something that needs to happen now. So what do these two horses look like? Who wants to be on this? Are we talking the three that we were talking about over here, and then we're talking about potentially this other horse over here, Curtis? Or what does something like that look like? What's our best step to? I've exhausted my understanding of where we're at, to be honest with you guys.
Honestly, there's been people with their hands up for a while. I'll maybe wait to respond till they comment.
It's hard to find those. Open queue. Here we go. Kayla, you were up next.
Yeah. Austin, I love the points that you brought up about self-regulation. However, I don't know how we do this without a board of directors. Specifically, the thing that's coming up for me is public trust. I mean, how do we gain public trust without a board of directors with experts and specialties and backgrounds? Because we're not just asking for a small movement, we're asking for a big change. So yeah, I love that we can do this all together. Hoorah attitude, but at the end of the day, without a board of directors, I don't think we'll get public buy-in.
That is a good point. And again, it's been hard for me to get I'm basically kind of a media presence, right? Because nobody else covers cannabis. Now they keep reaching out about Pizzagate, whatever. But if the media cared, cannabis would be legal. They would be covering the stories of veterans who don't have access safely here in Wisconsin. They would be touching base with the communities that are not getting any, the people in jail for cannabis, that if they were in a legal state, they wouldn't be in jail. Those things need to be at the focus, in my opinion. And I'm kind of remembering why I did all this. And it's just a lot of shit. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try my best to keep it together. But the people of Wisconsin, you guys see it in the comments. You see how many people say THC ain't real. And that's because they've lost trust in the Wisconsin cannabis scene. They've been wrong by Delta 8 or THCA when it first came out. That wasn't self-regulated. That wasn't done right. That wasn't fair. But you guys have to protect yourself and keep your business going. So you have to do what you got to do. And we respect that. But to say we're going to step back and self-regulate, I do have a problem with, as far as if I'm going to be standing everything I've built over a year, which I'm not trying to brag, bro. I am not trying to brag, but I want to show that Wisconsin cannabis is legit. And I promise you I can do that. You've seen it over the last couple of days. I've been trying to prove it to you guys. I've been plugging left and right, and they keep coming, and it's beautiful. But I still question if they're going to get what they say they're going to get because I don't know what's going on over there. And I was a part of the industry, and I get having to stay alive, having to stay afloat, and wanting to self-regulate. But I guess what it comes down to is if we are really trying to invoke this change, which I think we can do, there's got to be some united front.
I do want to just acknowledge the fact that we're a half hour over time. And when that kind of thing happens, sometimes people need to drop off. Should we talk real quickly about how do we all communicate when we're not at these meetings? Is there a way to all discuss
That's probably a
things
great.
when we're not all together? Or should we discuss that as an agenda item for the next meeting about how we communicate when not?
Does anyone have a good way of communicating with a lot of like employees right now that's working? I feel like it's always a hodgepodge of like texting, email, Google Docs.
Discord. Does anybody use Discord?
Yes.
Okay.
Does anyone know how to set that up? Like, I don't want to.
Through Discord, it's good.
Yes, and I think we're kind of like semi-protected there.
Really well.
Okay, is everyone okay? Well, can we just try? I know like some older folks have problems with social media and creating new accounts, and I'm not gonna lie, I struggle with like the drop downs and folders, but I'm sure I can figure it out. So
I think it's like a chat room, right?
yes, correct.
Correct.
Yep. So yeah, because we need to figure out what this next step is. So why don't I put some polls in there. I will kind of take the notes. I have AI that helps taking notes, thank God. And I'll work on kind of what we want to figure out next. No, where do we go from here? Somebody.
Well, I just wanted to just say like Axis and Pete have had their hand up, I think, for the longest. Maybe I'm not looking at it right, but do you guys want to say something? Because I don't want to leave you hanging.
Thank you so much. I'll jump in. This is Shona from Access Alliance. There were a few things, and I'm kind of far behind because I've had my hand out here for a while, but I helped create some oversight boards and the Medical Cannabis Task Force for San Francisco. And one of the things that I think we should think of as far as the two horses is as we organize ourselves to self-regulate, we need to sort of build inside of our local governments too, having the oversight boards, even if we're not at the point of, officially legislating them, having the working groups going. I think another thing that I was thinking as people were discussing is we don't know what all of each other bring to the table. And there are so many people at the table that it'll take a moment to do the live introductions. But having an idea of each other's skill sets and what we want to work on, and then getting those folks into committees that can bring it back to some type of like chat thing, like you said, like the Discord thing. But I also just want to say, we don't have to reinvent a lot of the wheels as far as learning from the mistakes of the city of San Francisco and the state of California. I can be here to tell you some of the mistakes. And one of the big mistakes, and I'm going to say it, and it's going to be controversial, is bringing cannabis lawyers to the table, because they will start going for their clients' interests almost immediately and go to the highest bidders. So not only do we want to watch out for the multiple state operators, we want to look at, the lawyers and lobbyists that are coming to the table, and not saying that they can't be at the table, but we have to have a strong set of bylaws with our board that we all get to vote on. So we have, maybe 3 members on the board, but let's get some really strict bylaws in there so that we can protect ourselves from basically the sharks that are out there, because I don't want to see what happened to California happen to Wisconsin, and I had my name on an alternative state ballot, and I watched 70,000 craft farmers go under, to the point where people were considering taking their own lives. So preserving our craft farms, preserving compassion programs, those have got to be up on our chart. I love my home state. And I just don't want to see us make those horrible mistakes that were made in California. And that's all.
Yes. Wow, that you bring up great points. Eric, real quick. Again, don't want to cut anybody off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a busy night. I think it's going to end up being, yes, we're going to need a board. So if we have a board, say it's Jay, Marcus, and Philip, okay, now they can go, all of us producers, Carbon Cannabis, 3 Tall Pines, Gas Packs, any other producer. Okay, so Jay comes and visits us. This is how we're self-regulating. So now they go to the Capitol. We still have action on that side.
Right.
While all of us producers are self-regulating. This is what we're doing. These are the tests we're doing. These are the safety procedures we're putting in place. And then the retailers can have a group of, these are all the tests that we're requiring to bring a gate test, to bring your products into our shop. This is what we require from these manufacturers. And as a group, we can vet everyone incoming. So I think having a board is good, but our self-regulators need to continue to do so and have that board contact all of us to say, this is what we're doing. And this is how we should move forward safely.
I think
if that makes sense. Like it all needs to come together because time is very important here. But we all need to keep self-regulating while having a board in place to say this is what we're doing.
I think that's a great. I think that's a great take.
Bob,
yeah.
Bobby, can I say something real quick? I've been talking to Jay the last few days, and he's got something. He's got something under his wing that he's working on with a visitor at the state capitol. One of our senators is probably going to be doing a photo shoot and releasing some information. Now's a good time to get our mission statement and something across Jay's desk to make sure that we can get some coverage.
Sure, that's a great point.
Soon, within a week or two, it's going to happen. So now's our time to get on TV and get in the papers.
What I'll do is just a Google Doc for now, where mission statement, and we all just kind of start putting little pieces to it. Just like we did with the meeting notes tonight. It was great to see people. You can leave a comment or like whatever. So let's just kind of brainstorm, work on that united front. Like you say, get that mission statement out there. I think that's a great take and a great idea.
He'll be able to articulate it really well too. So that's good.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Carl, I had you up next. CJ.
Yeah. So I just want to chime in. I don't want to be part of the board. I'm already a director in a nonprofit. What I want you guys to understand is there's a lot of different levels of running a nonprofit organization, and there's also different statuses. So if you're going to do advocacy work, you need your 501c4 status. If you're a nonprofit organization that does education and community work, you need your 501c3. They all have different things. Your board members, though, guys, are people that are strictly understand. They need to understand the paperwork side of it. You can still be the voice in Madison that's going to get the work done and not be on the board. You need to make sure you choose your board wisely. They are liable for anything that happens, right? Self-regulate all you want right now, for sure, 100%. But if you're going to be a nonprofit, you have to have a board, and it has to fall within the regulations of each state. Our nonprofits in several states, I'm telling you, it is a pain in the ass and a shitload of paperwork, pardon my French. I want nothing to do with it with the nonprofit I work for now. I can still go rah-rah at political things and make sure we're doing the advocacy work and reach out in the community and work with all of you and bring this forward in the correct way. But that board is a very specific role, and it is, man, you got to know what you're doing. You got to know your P's and Q's. You really want people that have nonprofit management and understand that. So vet them well and make sure you're doing it right. If they're going to be in the industry, make sure they do have those clauses where they're not conflict of interest at all, because it will make you look really foolish. And if you don't have the right statuses and you're not the right thing, don't be rubbing elbows with people who are not in office yet. It doesn't look right as a nonprofit. You have to know your lane. So make sure that people who are directing this understand nonprofit work and whatever means you file. If you're just going to be an alliance of businesses, that's something different than a nonprofit. And understand that, like a buy-in of $50 per month as a business. That can be something that is like, we do a veteran certification for businesses, and we vet those dispensaries and stuff because we know they get deep discounts. So just understand things, and before you move too forward on stuff, start doing the research on what the nonprofit is and what you're actually looking to build with this, so it can be done right and you can get the right people in place.
That seems very Good to know. So I think we can all agree that that would be the safest way to go about that. I like what. Oh wait, hands raised. Sorry, almost done, guys. I swear we're almost caught up. Pete Swan, go ahead, sir.
You're muted. I forgot what I was going to say or what I was going to touch on. My bad.
You're good. I think Austin brought up a good point, which is if we did Let's Legalize Wisconsin, use the platform, and then have a Wisconsin Cannabis Coalition. I think that sounds like a great take. Would be an arm of the entity. We are endorsed by LLW by following a mutually agreed upon set of guidelines. Wait, are you talking Let's Legalize Wisconsin or like as a safety alliance?
I'm using Let's Legalize Wisconsin as a filler.
Yeah.
You can change the names of either of them.
Gotcha.
There should be a group of businesses, consider it like a union, that's formed underneath the overall entity that has a board of directors that's doing the official lobbying, that is a nonprofit.
I like that.
All of us don't have to be involved in a nonprofit. It complicates my accountant's job. It's not a fun time.
Oh shit. No, for sure. And actually you bring up a good point. Speaking of accountant, I don't want to be doing anything like that fucker is trying to take any kind of an angle, but I have been trying to figure out how to use Let's Legalize Wisconsin to plug and to make y'all, to do the hoorah and everything for what you guys got going. I do need to figure out if there's an avenue where this trusted directory or whatever, if that just me speaking out loud, guys, I think that is where I could fit best as far as helping the businesses have a fair, again, a lot of you guys offered great jobs, opportunities to work with you or to come on board with you. But I think to use Let's Legalize Wisconsin as the media for whatever we do, and maybe we call it something else, and I'm talking to the accountant about if I can do a nonprofit or whatever that looks like. But I think where I can come in to help with all this, again, you guys know you don't want me on the board. I think I can help with keeping this all moving forward, and I would love to plug you guys, but I don't want to just take a sponsorship from one or two of you. So I guess I'm asking you guys, is that something we think we could work out where I feel like I can keep rolling how I am, stay completely unbiased, if I can figure out something similar to how I was working with Higher Love, but to be plugging all you guys, but to make it, does that make sense? The only thing I don't like, again, we could definitely change the name too, because especially with what we're doing with this alliance, I think we get a lot of people's attention when we explain to them, we kind of have it legal already. So open the name change, open to all that kind of stuff, but using the resources I've built, you guys bring a lot of resources to the table that we can't move forward without. And I think without tying in the people with what we're doing and keeping that transparency and keeping them knowing what is available here in Wisconsin, is that something that the Wisconsin businesses, I won't talk any more about it tonight. I'll try to talk to you guys over the next couple of days. But is that something we think we could figure out? Appreciate it. We got hands. It's not legal till all are out of jail, says Carl. Hey, that's a good way to put it. Who else has something? Do we get all the hands? Oh, Justin and Dennis. I see. Go ahead.
Well, I'll take it since Justin doesn't want to talk. My only thing is that, again, when we talk about this full compliance testing and testing things, does anybody in the room have any idea how you guys plan on passing a parts per billion CFU testing?
That's what I mean. I think we've got to get a team together to figure that out. No, I don't. Or does anyone have the single answer to that?
What strategies are people planning on implementing both indoor and outdoor to pass these testing regulations? Because in reality, you go into legal states, they're multi-million-dollar clean rooms that they're running here, right? So, how are we as small farmers planning on passing a full panel CFU test if that's what we're looking to implement?
Well, I don't know that we know exactly what the final test looks like. We just know we need to do better. But I think the final answer, what you're looking for, is a whole nother meeting with the Wisconsin growers, producers, and
I'll chime in right away. I can name a few people in this group that are already testing their crop for all the pesticides, heavy metals, and microbials you're talking about. Badger Labs has their own LOD or limit of detection, as well as their own pass limits. So you can send it in for whatever contaminants you're talking about, and they'll give you a pass or fail based on their own criteria as a USDA established lab.
Sure, and that's just what. Go ahead.
Somebody was saying something there.
I think you're good, Dennis. You want to talk?
No, I'm good, boss. Ain't much more I really got to say about that. Like I said, I just want to make sure we don't point or paint ourselves into a corner where small farmers can't afford to do the testing metrics and pass the standardized testing that's going to be required in the future. Because a lot of times what you find is that our cannabis is more strictly regulated than our food products, right?
Right.
So
that's a great point.
As we build this in the future, I mean, we really have to be careful and mindful. Again, I mean, what is aspergillus? What is bacillus? I mean, we have to consider these things that, I mean, if they're inert and they're not harmful, are we going to fail a guy because he's got a little bit of bacillus, because he used bacillus or trichoderma in his organic garden? I mean, these are problems that are happening in other states. And again, if we're looking for organic materials, we better start coming up with ideas how we're going to get around that.
I like it. And we'll definitely get some kind of a communication going for all you guys too, so we can get that rolling. So let's let everyone get back to their evening. I will try to summarize everything that was discussed and get that to you guys by tomorrow morning. If you got ideas for what should be included in the mission statement, I'll just create a blank document for now, but don't feel like you have to go do that right now. And then we got to reconvene again next week to keep this thing rolling. Curtis, just looking for a little insight on should we, or I guess anybody could answer this, but we're going to leave the board as it is as of this moment. We got to double check with Jay that he's in. It sounds like Mark and Phil put their hat in the ring. And then we would be talking about like doing our final vetting of them next week and structuring ?
Yeah, well, another thing I wanted to bring up is that the board itself is just people. What really matters is what the bylaws say.
Sure.
So you're going to have to create bylaws to explain what the parameters of what those three people are doing and how much power they have, how much they have to listen to the advisory board.
Bylaws.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a slog moving forward, but I don't think that any of the people that have put their hat in the ring so far can fully commit until they know what exactly they're committing to.
That makes sense.
Is what
We
really
should all
is the
vote
rubber that
on
hits
the
the road.
bylaws.
I agree. That seems like a smart. Well, Marcus, real quick, I saw his hand up. He might be done taking a shit.
I was not taking a shit. I was actually on a panel. I'm currently in New Mexico on water rights issues. So part of my day jobs.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry, buddy.
I just, but I was listening and I actually had one earpiece while I was on the panel. So like, hopefully not an audience of conference is like, what the fuck is he doing? But basically, I just listening to everyone, what everyone has to say, and understanding kind of self-regulation, this board. I want to just put it out there in the sense of like, I want to make sure that people know that when we put this alliance together, that we all have a say in it, and make sure that everyone's voice is heard. But then also make sure that we don't really silo it or we don't centralize it. I think that it's important to have strength in numbers and have, if we have two boards, and that's stronger than one board. And I guess just kind of to talk about, kind of who I am. I started a nonprofit when I was 17. I was able to develop my own bylaws, filed my own articles of incorporation. I did a lot of good work for the predominantly people on the reservation. And I think as we move forward, I appreciate Bobby putting my name out there. And I also put in the comments that I was interested in serving on the board. If it does happen, I want to make sure it goes to a vote because it's not just appointed.
Right.
I want to make sure everyone has a voice in it. And I also want to make sure that you all know that if you do elect me as somebody that sits on the board of some time, that I'll do my best to do what I can for you guys to remain humble and to ensure that whatever we try to set out, that we are successful. And I do have a lot of experience in a lot of different things. We can talk about it next week. I don't want to keep everybody else on here longer, but I just want to make sure that I reconnect with everybody because it did say in the comments, like, give me a few minutes. So I just wanted to say that bit. I look forward to talking to everybody next week and having a much more deeper dive on this conversation. And I'm just happy everyone's on the same page. Thank you so much.
Hey, appreciate you, Mark. Again, he gets it. So really glad we got opportunity to have these folks at the table. I think we got all of our hands raised, and I know everybody is probably like, Beans, I got shit to do, and I again apologize. My thing is passion and trying to keep things moving. So we need these guys at the front of it to keep these things going quicker and everything. But I can't thank you guys enough for coming to tonight's meeting, being a part of this. We definitely got to get the education to the people, and this is something we got to move on. So let's reconvene tomorrow. I'm not saying you guys anything till tomorrow. I need to unplug. You guys need to unplug just as much. Let's not have to worry about being the first to comment, show that we care. Tomorrow morning, I will get out to you guys, and it's going to have to be discussed. And I fucking love you guys. I'm serious. We're going to do this right. And we will. I'm going to promise you very soon, once we get this figured out, I'm changing the name from Let's Legalize to Wisconsin to something that's already, it's fucking here, guys. I fucking love you guys. I'm out of here. Good night.